Congratulations, you found your rock star. Now, I know you've been selling throughout the whole process, right? Just like a great salesperson does, we want to do a trial close from time to time. And the killer question that I use is, how are you feeling about the process now compared to before the meeting yesterday? And I get a sense of if we're moving closer to an offer or further from an offer, kind of checking in with the candidate. Now, who makes the offer? There's a lot of opinions on this, and I'll tell you what I've learned works best. There's just no substitute for making it personal, and the person to do that is the hiring manager, the prospective manager of this individual, because they're effectively inviting the candidate. I want you to join my team. And as much as HR people and recruiters are great parts of the process, there's a big difference between a hiring manager being the one to extend the offer. Now, rock stars have choices, so the yes is not always assured. We want to do everything we can to get the yes. So let's first think about why they might say no. What objections do you need to anticipate when dealing with a rock star? Well, first of all, they weren't inspired. They said, I'm just not that excited about this opportunity. Again, you need to be selling throughout the process. Their perceived risk is too high. Again, rock stars are doing great in their current situation. They don't need this job. They weren't looking for it. B and C players, they're okay taking risks. They don't have a lot of opportunities, but rock stars can name their ticket. So you need to do everything possible to reduce the perceived risk for the candidate. Another thing that turns them off are a poor experience in the recruiting process. It was too slow, too many touch points, or those touch points didn't go that well. And of course, a competing offer. What I typically find is when a rock star starts to engage in an opportunity, they'll see what else is out there. And so I may find myself at the last minute up against a competing offer. Another thing that will turn them off is a weak or unimpressive manager. As I said earlier, the manager is half of job satisfaction. So if you've got weak middle-level managers, you got to fix that problem first. Being scared off by a surprise that's late in the process, that is just enough to spook a rock star candidate. And then finally, of course, money. But typically this isn't going to come up. And you may be thinking, well, how's that possible? If you remember early in this course, we talked about the importance of targeting the right candidates in the first place. Candidates for whom this is a 20 to 30% move. So you already know their compensation. You asked that early on. So there shouldn't be any surprises with what your budget compensation is. You already know that this is going to be a meaningful gap. Now, I'm not saying you'll never have to negotiate compensation, but it shouldn't happen as often as it's been where you've been stretching for candidates that just earn too much over your budget. Here are the principles that I use to successfully make the verbal offer. Identify the areas of dissatisfaction from that very first conversation. Remember, we wrote those down, that they have a long commute, or the candidate hates a micromanager. They're intrinsic motivators, things that really turn them on. And this is the time to remind the candidate of how they're being unfulfilled in their current role and how things are going to be different. Help them really imagine the possibility. And again, trial close. After giving the verbal offer, what is your receptivity? What's your feedback? Start with your best and final offer. You have to remember that this is a seller's market. We're at a time of very low unemployment. So the candidate is the seller. And you found a rock star, and it says we value you when you save the time and just put your best foot forward. Avoid the back and forth to save $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. In the long run, even in the mid-run, it's not an issue. And so what I say is I subliminally signal to the candidate that this is a good offer by saying, I've done my best to make this a very easy decision for you by providing you with a full package from the start. And so I'm signaling to them that I don't want to do a lot of back and forth. I don't have the ability to do a lot of back and forth. And I start by putting my best foot forward. I also make it personal by saying the words, I want you on my team. I'm inviting you to join our family. And I remind the candidate of all the hurdles they've overcome to get this offer. We've looked at 150 candidates. You did amazing in the interviews, but we were super impressed during the test drive phase, and your references were flawless. People are not only humbled by that, but they value that you're doing your homework and you take recruiting seriously. Don't forget to emphasize the challenge of the role, even more than the compensation of the role. A lot of offers, people just focus on the money. You need to build up the challenge because that's what rock stars are looking for. You're going to be involved in shipping the best new product ever in our category. We're changing the world by doing this. You're going to work with the best manager, but he's super tough, whatever it may be. Much more important than compensation. And finally, no surprises. When you present a verbal offer, that offer should be consistent with everything you've discussed so far. It doesn't take much to spook a candidate, changing the title at the last minute, changing the hiring manager or the boss at the last minute, or a reload package, or whatever it may be. No surprises. The first step to deliver the verbal offer is to set up a 30-minute phone call where both you and the candidate can focus on the discussion. Even better is in person. And you have an outline in front of you. Don't trust your memory to do this. Start by congratulating them. It's not false flattery. You want to tell them that they beat out 149 other people and why you want them on the team. Also, share with them why you think they're going to be successful. Again, you're trying to reduce their perception of the risk, and you want them to believe that they will join the company and hit it hard. Review the roles and responsibilities, the reporting structure, the title. Make sure you and the candidate are in clear alignment on these things. Now, we've talked about all those things with the candidates, and it's time to talk money. So let me share with you some of the mistakes that people make. They race through it, and they undersell it, and they just talk about the cash compensation. It's a lot more to it than that. So first of all, go slow. Don't race through it. Candidate is scrambling to write all this stuff down, as you probably had before. So talk about the entirety of the compensation package. The base compensation, guaranteed income. The bonus or commission structure. Not just the percentage, but is there a minimum? Is there a guarantee, perhaps for the first few months? What is the target? And what is the stretch target, which is what rockstar candidates really want to know? Is there a cap on how much they can earn? And how is the bonus or commission calculated? Is it objective or subjective? You really want to flesh these things out so there's absolute clarity. Next part, equity. You want to talk about the percentage of the company that the candidate is getting, or maybe if it's a small amount, just the number of options or shares, how those vest over time, and what they could be worth potentially in an exit scenario. Next, benefits and healthcare. This is currently one of the #1 most important aspects to candidate compensation because there's so much uncertainty about healthcare insurance. So if you've got a great package, you really want to flaunt it. Talk about your perks. Do they get an executive coach, a discount at the gym, Friday's casual day, whatever those perks may be. Vacation. How much time can it increase over time? Perhaps it's 2 weeks to start, but after 3 years, it's 4 weeks or 5 weeks. The travel of the job. Will they get to see exotic locations and travel to other cities? For a lot of young candidates, that's really a huge plus that you don't want to underemphasize. Education reimbursement. That has a real monetary value, and especially rock stars care about it because they're always trying to increase their skills. Perhaps work at home. That has a monetary value of sorts to people as well. So in the online briefcase, I've included a list so you don't forget these things. And I really want to encourage you to have it in front of you as you go through the comp structure. Do it slowly on the phone with a candidate. Now, here's your homework. For the role that you're currently working to fill, hopefully you're going to make an offer pretty soon, get ready now. List out all the components of the offer so you have them ready when the time comes to extend the verbal offer. And I'll see you in the next lesson where we're going to make them an offer that they can't refuse.